Welcome to an Oddjob Motors test report of a very unusual old outboard motor. This is a 1963 through 1965 Cary Jet. And as you can probably read here on the cowl, it was actually manufactured by Garelli, and it was sold by Cary Enterprises of Huntington Station, New York City. And it was made in Italy, and as the name implied, it is a jet drive motor, meaning that it uses the power head here to rotate an impeller and then force water out the back. There is almost no information available on these motors, at least on the internet that I've been able to find, and there's nothing in any of the large amount of Oddjob Motors material that we have, documentation that we have. It's really kind of a cool thing. This fiberglass cover is held on by these rubber cords that just fit around the pegs. I'm assuming that the power head here is approximately about between 50 and 80 cc's. As you can see on the front here, it does say Cary, Garelli, and 4, so I assume that means 4 horsepower. And on the front it's got a pull start, which actually goes to a wire, so that guy is going to be permanent. And it's got a stop button here, and then it's got this interesting plug here. And what this does is it actually puts out 6 volts and 25 watts. And it's interesting because it's got two different things. It's got a sort of a standard receptacle for an American plug that would fit in there. And then I actually happen to have this from my Wankel's Mac 10 Wankel, which is a European plug that fits in here. And it's got a little test light on it, which is kind of neat. So this motor has carburetor here that you can see mounted on the side. It is a piston ported motor. It is also a loop charged motor, and it's got this motorcycle style ignition, automotive style ignition coil up here, and then it's got 2 coils up in the magneto that actually provide the electricity, and it's got a set of points and a condenser in there. And you can see the fuel shut off here. And on the starboard side, there's not much except the muffler here, which again looks like it came right off. Garelli, if you're not familiar with them, manufactured motorbikes, and they were quite famous for their mopeds and small motorcycles. And apparently they also adapted this power head from a moped or a motorcycle to go onto this little outboard. It's got an interesting Mercury style. I don't know if you can see it here. Try and get the camera down there. Like a Mark 6 or something like that, where you can adjust the tilt just by pulling on the little lever there. And it's got a traditional twist grip throttle here on the front, nice little indicator, and then embossed in is it says start and idle and max over here. And it's got this fuel tank up on top, pretty large. I'll go put the cover back on and we'll throw it in the test tank. These little rubber bands are, I don't know, they almost look like they're made out of O-ring material. Kind of an unusual way to hold the cover on a motor. It doesn't vibrate though. You can see over here it's got a hole on this side. You spin it all the way around for reverse. It's got a hole here, you put your finger in and you push down on, there's a little lever in there for the choke, and then when you get up to a little over start, you can hear it pop out, and then it's got this slot here for the fuel valve. I'll go ahead and put it in the test tank here. The casting work on this motor is absolutely beautiful. The Italians are renowned for their casting work. So most Americans have sort of a negative view of Italian engineering. I think that's based on probably on the Fiats and some of the cars that were sold in the Americas here in the 1970s. Of course, a lot of people discount the fact that they also made Ferrari, which was, you know, and to this day is world leader in automobiles. But Italians do absolutely unbelievable casting work, probably some of the finest in the world. And their engineering really is excellent. They had, you know, again, build quality issues most people associate with them from the cars of the 1970s and 60s. You know, I had a friend of mine who had a Fiat 124 that he literally watched it dissolve in his driveway. But they really, you know, can do great engineering there, and they're world renowned for their engineering. So we'll turn the fuel on here, push down the choke, put it up to start, and pull the cord. One more time. There we go. It's got an interesting telltale here that you can see. That's sort of a relief. When it warms up here in a second, we'll idle it down. You'll see the telltale will stop and gets a little louder. I'm running this motor on a 16:1 air-cooled mix right now. I don't have any documentation whatsoever on this and what it should have for a mix. It's a cold motor. When it takes it a couple of minutes to get warmed up. Once it gets warmed up, it idles very nicely. It's very smooth and relatively quiet. It's quite a pleasant little motor to run. Here, I'll show you the little generator it has for your running lights here. You can see the little bulb lighting up. I don't think you'd be running any large appliances off of this. And once it gets warmed up, it really runs nicely. Well, that's the 1962 to 1965 Cary Jet. I hope you've enjoyed the short film on this, and you know, if you have one of these motors and have any information on them, please feel free to email me through Oddjob Motors. Thanks, and we'll see you out on the water.